following is a presentation of Sports South.
Leon came in search of the fountain of youth. Tonight at St. Augustine Speedway, the Hav-A-Tampa Race Series will get underway with the second race of the season as everybody goes in search of a pot of gold. Hello everyone, I'm Trace Ali along with Mark McCarter here tonight at St. Augustine Speedway, and it looks like there's lots of problems tonight, one of which might be how cool it is for everybody to run tonight, Mark.
It is awfully cold. The other factor though is the wind. The infield here is very sandy. The drivers are concerned that sand is going to blow across the track, which will obviously make things very tough as far as the tires and the handling.
And the tires will be the big issue. Of course, last night several of the qualifiers failed to reach the top 5 positions that they're normally attended to because of the simple fact they burnt the tires down. But in that group tonight, we've got 2 extra people running tonight instead of the usual 24 car field, Mark.
That's right. The track owners are allowing 2 provisional starters. It'll be a thick field of 26 cars. It'll be a great night of racing.
And of course, right away, it's going to get real interesting. We've got a super fast time with Ronnie Johnson out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and we talked to him earlier. Last night in St. Augustine, Ronnie Johnson grabbed the pole position by running a 16.951 lap, and it looked just awesome. What's the secret? How do you stay out front tonight, you think?
Well, you know, all I can do is hope for a good start. I'm going to have to watch the lap traffic and try to save the tires. You know, we're racing on a sandy surface here. The guys were really hard on tires in practice Thursday night. Last night I watched the last heat race. A lot of the guys were smoking the tires off the corner, so I really got to take care of the tires because we got to go 100 laps.
Of course, it's no surprise that Ronnie Johnson will be in the pole position as he races tonight out of the gate, but unfortunately for him, Scott Bloomquist is sitting behind him in 6th. It's a little bit of a surprise for Scott to be so far back.
He won the season opener for the Hav-A-Tampa Series at Brunswick, Georgia, but tonight he'll start further back in 6th. But we can expect Bloomquist to get really competitive early in the race, so stay with us. The race is about to begin at St. Augustine Speedway in Florida. We're at St. Augustine Speedway in Florida, getting ready to start the race tonight here as the second of the Hav-A-Tampa Race Series begins. I'm Trace Ali along with Mark McCarter. Mark, good-looking field. We got 26 cars out there for this race.
And we almost had a 27th. We can get into that a little bit later, but one of the provisional starters made the field, didn't expect to, and a provisional tried to make the field, tried to sneak in and make it 27, but he's been sent to the locker room.
Let's take a look at the starting grid. We'll start with row number 1, Ronnie Johnson in car number 5, of course, the fast qualifier last night. In B4, it's Jack Boggs. In row 2, Freddie Smith in 00. C28 is Kenny Merchant.
In row 3, the number 14 car of Larry Moore and the number 18 car of Scott Bloomquist. On row 4, number 70, Jeff Smith, and number 1, J. Davy Johnson.
And 17 in row 5, sitting inside row 5, is Dale McDowell. Right next to him, Stan Massey in car 22. In row 6, it's car number 7, Mark Miner. 99 is Johnny Johnson.
On row 7 is 07, Jerry Inman, along with number 21, Billy Moyer. On the 8th row, Steve Francis in the number 15 car, and the number 100 car of C.S. Fitzgerald.
9th row, number 1, Clint Smith. G1, Steve Russell. Row 10 is number 46, Earl Pearson, and G2, David Gibson.
Row 11, Jimmy Edwards in the 48 car and the number 21 car of Ted Dolan. And on the 12th row, number 66, Billy Fry, and number 8, Hot Rod Lamont.
In row 13, and the final row, number 18, David Showers, a favorite from St. Augustine, Florida, and number 32 is Bob Pierce. Right now, we're looking at, of course, the front row. There's the number 5 car with a 16.951 fast lap last night to take the pole. That's Ronnie Johnson from Chattanooga, Tennessee. And right outside, of course, you see Jack Boggs. Some people used to call him Black Jack Boggs, but I think he's dropped that name. Pace car will keep on the track here for another lap or two as they continue to warm the tires, warm the engines on a rather cool night for Florida.
That's being generous to say it's rather cool. This is not one of those nights that the Florida Department of Tourism brags about too much.
Here we come. We're looking out of the turn 1 area. Our camera's getting ready to spot the start. Let's get the start of the race with our overhead camera. As they come down the front straightaway, here's the turn 1 camera catching Ronnie Stain, with Freddie Smith already jumping inside on second, already ahead of Jack Boggs. It's a race to the first lap. We got a caution.
That's what we were worried about already.
Unfortunately, 48 is Jimmy Edwards from Hope Mills, North Carolina, not off to the best of start. Looks like enough damage that he might not be able to get out of there by himself. Jimmy just made it into the race tonight from one of the consolation races. It's real tough for racers to get their nerves and their adrenaline going at the same time and then have something happen immediately on the first lap. And of course, we were just saying earlier, normally you won't see that happen in this particular race series on the start, but anything can happen.
That's true. And even you look at a guy who's starting 23rd, 24th or something in this field, he's a good race car driver. That deep in the field, and he's not accustomed to starting that far back. These guys are track champions and outstanding racers. They don't want to be patient. They want to get up and they're accustomed to leading the races.
Well, while they're clearing the car off the track, we'll take a short break and come back for the start of the race here in just a moment as we continue with the Hav-A-Tampa Race Series, race number 2 for the 1995 season here from St. Augustine, Florida Speedway. We'll be back in a moment. As we return to St. Augustine, Florida Speedway, the Hav-A-Tampa Series race number 2 for 1995 is set to go again. They're restarting. They had a problem with a couple of cars in turn 1 on the first lap, so they're having to start the entire race. Still 100 laps to go. 1994 Rookie of the Year, Jeff Smith, in car number 70, suffered some damage in that front straightaway get-together. He may be worried about his right rear tire. That right quarter panel is popping around and could have cut that tire. It looks like it may have done some damage that he'll have to overcome to start the race.
But I think we're real fortunate considering we had about a half dozen cars involved in that. It looks like that Jimmy Edwards of Hope Mills, North Carolina is the only casualty from this one. They have pushed his car to the garage area.
So at this point, we'll have 25 cars on the restart of the race. Car 100, C.S. Fitzgerald got out of position on the starting grid. He's making his way back into position right now on the back straightaway. Again, remember, at the beginning of the race, you're going to see a little bit of dust, a little bit of an obstruction perhaps to the clearness of the picture, but don't be alarmed by that. It will go away as the race progresses. As they say, there's a lot of loose stuff on the outside. Right now, the cars are establishing themselves in the groove and getting ready to try to nail down who's going to be in first, second, and third very quickly. Here we go again with the restart of the 100-lap feature to get underway here at St. Augustine Speedway. There's the crowd. Here they come down the front straightaway, heading for turn 1, looking for the lead. Oh, in the infield, it's Hot Rod LeMans, a little off course there, getting back in the race. The entire crowd speeding down the back straightaway, looking like at about 130 miles per hour as they head into the turns and picking up even more speed as they accelerate out of them. As Blackjack Boggs leads him in the front straightaway, Freddie Smith already tried to put a nose underneath as he heads into turn 1 and around into turn 2. Look at Freddie. He's, just a little bit close there. Freddie kept it, though. He was just about to lose it, just a hair there, but he's right on the tail of Jack Boggs right now in the B4 car. Ronnie Johnson, the pole position leader, has now slipped back to 5th, and Scott Bloomquist has begun his move to the front that everybody's been predicting. He's now on the outside trying to get around Ronnie Johnson. There's a momentary tag of the 2 cars on the back straightaway. They're now in turn 3, heading for turn 4. Let's see if we can pick up that bumping and shoving match going on there just a little bit. There's Scott again going to the outside. Jack Boggs, of course, is leading, looking very smooth and very quick. Nothing wrong with that car. Of course, right behind him is Freddie Smith. Freddie likes to play a waiting game. He knows it's a 100-lap race. You don't win it in the first 5 laps, Mark.
No, you certainly don't. If Freddie had mechanical problems last week, so you know he likes to conserve his car as best as he can.
They're distancing the crowd right now. Ronnie Johnson's giving Scott Bloomquist fits in the back straightaway, holding him back. And Kenny Merchant is now moving up. He's C28, young man from Ruston, Louisiana, driving the J.D. Caver and Company car. Behind that, Larry Moore in 14 is still basically in the same position he started. But up front, Jack Boggs in B4 continues to lead and pull away a little bit. Freddie Smith stays with him. Freddie, originally from Kings Mountain, North Carolina, now races for GVS Racing out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. But Scott Bloomquist is trying to find a way sometime soon to get himself around Ronnie Johnson, who led the start of the race. Scott has told us in an interview that, as well as some of the other drivers, that making your tires last is going to be real important in this race.
Well, without a doubt, because the track is so sandy and so abrasive here that tire wear is going to be a huge, huge factor. But right now, this is looks to be a two-car race. Boggs is picking up a half-second a lap over Ronnie Johnson, who's in third place.
And this is what 750 horsepower in a dirt track late model looks like. And you're watching some of the best in the entire United States here, right here tonight from St. Augustine, Florida Speedway. We've settled into first place with Jack Boggs in B4, followed by Freddie Smith in 00. Number 3 is Ronnie Johnson, car 5. Scott Bloomquist in 18, and 5th is C28 Kenny Merchant. Right behind him is Larry Moore from Friendsville, Tennessee, driving the Curtis Equipment car.
Trace, you can see that smoke kicking up, and that's sort of a combination of the sand, the tires, and most important thing to the southern atmosphere, boiled peanuts. They're cooking boiled peanuts down the grandstand, and a lot of what you see coming across the track is from the boiled peanut.
Yeah, we've actually got the boiled peanut smoke flying right in front of us here, folks, almost as fast as the cars on the racetrack being driven with the Hav-A-Tampa race series. Now we're beginning to see Jack catch up with the rear of the pack and try to work around some lap traffic. That's going to slow him down, unfortunately, and we know this because Freddie Smith is behind him now, and they're both getting a little tighter into each other. Of course, that means that Ronnie Johnson and Scott Bloomquist can push a little faster and pick up some space, too. The back of the field at this point is not really that slow. It's just that they're trying to find their way through a crowd of really highly placed drivers. And so, of course, some of those guys are not as accustomed to this racing. Number 18 at the rear there is David Showers from St. Augustine, and he's trying to hold him off. Well, he just went aside and let the leaders take off. There goes Blackjack Boggs in B4, and, of course, 00 up there with Freddie Smith following right behind him. And don't forget, part of tonight's telecast is being brought to you by American Motorsports, your oval track warehouse for every dirt and asphalt racing need.
Well, Hot Rod Laments has finally moved over and let the two leaders pass. You know, knowing his style of driving, that hurts for him to do that.
Especially with a name like Hot Rod. We know it stands for something. It means a guy who likes to put it to the floor. Jack Boggs looking extremely smooth so far in this race. He's not having any problem staying in front, and this is a little bit of a surprise because, of course, everybody was expecting the lead to stay in the hands of Ronnie Johnson. He was just so fast, so smooth last night when we watched the qualifying.
But, you know, we talked with Jack before the race, and if anybody looked like a poker player trying to be very close to the vest and not give away his hand, it was Jack Boggs.
You're right. He was very communicative, but not in any way of giving anything back to us. We tried to get some good information out of him, but he didn't really give it to us. The field's getting stretched out a little bit, but of course that doesn't necessarily mean it'll stay that way. We've only had one caution, unfortunately it was on the first lap. Inside there on turn 4, we see a move being made by Jack Boggs as he goes past another car. Jack's now ahead of at least 2 cars at the back of the field and still pulling ahead. Freddie Smith is pulled right around, and now he's right back up behind him too in the 00 car, in the Bazooka car, sponsored by Bazooka Base Tubes. Good look in turn 4. Here's turn 1 for you, ladies and gentlemen. Again, remember, some of this is smoke and a combination of dirt on the outside of the racetrack. The groove's not really totally established, as we say in dirt track racing, yet. Although a lot of cars are trying to see if they can maybe get in a certain spot and outrun the others. But as you know from other racing situations, it will be best for the fans and all of us watching if we can keep this thing, as they say, a 2-wide race so far.
That's right. The track has a way of coming around to the drivers as well as drivers being able to adjust to those grooves very quickly. But don't believe Jack Boggs has any problem at all. It's like Jack.
No, now he's right on the back of number 32, Bob Pierce. Bob, we talked to before the race, was a little discouraged. The car was not quite what they thought it ought to be, and they did have problems actually getting it in. They were sitting there concerned whether they'd actually make it in, and came in at the 13th row in the 26th spot tonight.
Despite the Boggs running into traffic the way he has with the rear of the field, he still has a 4.5-second lead. He and Freddie Smith do over the third-place car of Ronnie Johnson.
Yes, and Scott Bloomquist is back there. We haven't seen him in the last couple minutes, but we know he's back there battling still right behind Ronnie Johnson. Just saw him go by a few seconds ago. Here's the caution. We got a caution on the track. Second caution of the race. Jack Boggs right now is leading the crowd, and we'll get back underway here in just a moment. We'll take a little break here from St. Augustine Speedway in Florida. Welcome back to St. Augustine Speedway here in St. Augustine, Florida, the nation's oldest city, established in 1565. We're about to restart in lap 23 of our race tonight of 100 laps for the Hav-A-Tampa Race Series. Mark, this is the second race of the season. Any surprises by your estimation so far?
No, I don't think so. With Bloomquist winning last week and New Brunswick, and if there are any surprises, it would just be some of the lower qualifying spots. But you already see how those insignificant they are to Scott Bloomquist, who's moved up from 6th to 4th and just sort of coasting along right now, and 4th waiting on opportunities.
Well, the only surprise to me, really, and I'm not trying to take anything away from it, but Jack Boggs has really just taken over this race. And like you said earlier, he played a poker hand and didn't give us all that information. Freddie Smith does not surprise me being where he is, because Freddie gets to the front really fast. The only one really kind of surprising me, I think, is number 18, Scott Bloomquist, the man who won the first race in New Brunswick, Georgia earlier this season. And now he's still in 4th behind Ronnie Johnson, the pole sitter at the beginning of the race. And by the way, for the fastest news on dirt, call 1-900-DIRT-TRACKS, Hav-A-Tampa's only hotline. And they also cover all other major dirt track racing events. Just a phone call away. Call 1-900-378-7299. That's 1-900-DIRT-TRACKS for all your dirt racing needs. Here we go on the restart. The speed is up, and here comes Jack Boggs leading Freddie Smith into front straightaway heading to turn 1. Looking at very close and very tight at this point. Freddie's now pushing a little bit, putting a little more pressure on him, and trying to make sure that Jack doesn't have too much distance between them as they continue to roll right on through the front of the race. Looking back behind them, we've got to look at number 5 and number 18 still battling back there, basically for 3rd. That's Ronnie Johnson from Chattanooga, Tennessee. He did start the front of the race, but right now in the number 5 car coming out of turn 3 into turn 4, he's still holding off Scott Bloomquist, and we're not quite sure how he's doing that.
I'm not so sure that Ronnie dropped back so much as Jack Boggs just rocking it out in front of everybody.
Yeah, it's a great position to be in when you've got a car that's set up that well and all the tires are just exactly right as far as tire pressure. You can just stay out front and have a great time. And Jack Boggs right at this point is having a wonderful time. Only problem is Freddie Smith is back there trying to figure out how to spoil it for him. Let's go back and look at the cars in the 5th and 6th position. Kenny Merchant had looked pretty strong earlier in the C28 car. He's coming up still and still pushing ahead. And out of the back straightaway, car number 46 smoking badly. That's Earl Pearson Jr. coming around.
And another caution has come out.
Yeah.
Earl Pearson, number 46.
Definitely got some smoke coming out there, and it looks not too good at this point. Earl Pearson from Jacksonville, Florida, worked hard to get into this particular race. Many of the drivers from this part of the country are just beginning to start to make themselves a little more competitive, and it takes sponsorship to become competitive. That's part of how it happens. You can see the cars on the racetrack that have the cleanest, best look to them, and you know right away they've got the good sponsorships, and of course that's an important part of getting yourself where you got to go, right, Mark?
You're exactly right on that one. Earl Pearson worked awfully hard. He's about 50 miles away from home in Jacksonville, Florida, and it's going to be the longest 50-mile ride of his life tonight to have to go home.
Well, especially with the expectations he had. I know that will be the case. They're still trying to get him restarted, though. He might still come back. No, he's definitely going out. Mark, while we have just a second here, let's talk a little bit about our next telecast we've got coming up. We'll be shooting in Tennessee here before long.
That's right. We'll be going to Kingsport Motor Speedway for the March 25th race, $10,000 100-lap race. And then we'll stay in the Volunteer State and work at Cleveland Speedway, which is Ronnie Johnson's home track, which is run by his father, Joe Lee Johnson. The race in Cleveland, Saturday, April 22nd.
They're getting lined up here. I think we're getting close to a start again, ladies and gentlemen. There's the green flag. They started them in the back straightaway, and here comes Jack Boggs around out of turn 4. Freddie Smith staying right there, trying to go a little inside. Maybe something will happen a little earlier than we thought. Freddie will hang in there sometimes as long as 80 laps before he makes a major move. He has a way of driving so well that he makes his tires last, and then the other folks finally fall out, and Freddie goes around. Jack Boggs is still a little wide there. 4 has got a little bit of slippage in this, just a little bit loose there, and all the cars seem to be coming a little wide just in that one little corner area there in turn 4, Mark.
It is, I believe it is the most slippery place in the track. Probably the most sand, at least, especially looking at our pictures. The way it is kicked up as you get higher up in the track.
Yeah, that combination, plus it might just have a little more evaporation happening out there quicker. Down the front straightaway, you can look at the entire field as they come flying through into your living rooms. Beautiful look at the Hav-A-Tampa cars. Bill Fry's got something loose flapping around there. That could get a black flag here in a moment. We'll find out. It's definitely popping around on the hard on the right outside part of the car. Jack Boggs going smoothly around out into turn 2, back down the back straightaway. Of course, Freddie is a little bit further behind now. I'm not sure if he's letting him slip away or whether Jack is just continuing to keep speed in the corners as well as on the straightaways. Freddie is accelerating beautifully on the straightaways, but now he may be having a little bit of a handling problem and slowing down a little bit in the turns. He doesn't look like he's coming out quite as fast, Mark,
no,
he's turn 2 like he did before. Here's a caution. Here's a caution. We've got a caution.
I believe there's a piece of Billy Fry's car that has come off.
As we were just saying, it looks like
stretch.
Billy Fry has lost a piece of debris, and it's gone onto the back straightaway. The cars, of course, are swiveling back and forth, as you can see, trying to keep those tires heated up so they can stay in the race and keep that edge when they go into the corners. Don't forget, our coverage is being brought to you by Landrum Spring Service, covering the spring industry like no one else out of Atlanta, Georgia. And also from Atlanta, American Motorsports, for parts that put you in the winner's circle. I want to say a special thank you right now to Jimmy Mosteller, the head of the Hav-A-Tampa Race Series. Jimmy, although retiring from the Hav-A-Tampa company, is more active than ever in the racing business, and everybody knows Jimmy is legend.
Yes.
Everywhere. Everybody loves the man and thinks he's incredible. And I'll tell you right now, once you meet Jimmy, you know why racing's so much fun. We're about to go again. Here's the green flag. Jack Boggs continues to lead the pack, coming out of turn 4, heading for the front straightaway as the Hav-A-Tampa Series race continues on lap 32. And Freddie Smith continues to dog Jack Boggs. He's staying right with him and letting him have just a little room. Excuse me there. I was watching Freddie back off and trying to figure out if that was a problem or not. It is not a problem. Freddie is just feeling his way along in the groove, saving those tires when that moment might occur that he'll make his move. Lots of racing on the racetrack. We'll get a look at some of the rest of the pack here in just a moment. Jack Boggs, of course, leading beautifully. Freddie Smith following him. Then comes Ronnie Johnson. Scott Bloomquist still trying to make that attack and get around there. The entire field passing before us right here out of turn 4. Good look. Bill Fry a little loose there going into the turn a little deep. There's Black Jack Boggs right back into 3, coming around into 4. Little loose now coming around those turns. Not as tight as he was and as smooth as before. Ronnie Johnson still trying to hold off Scott Bloomquist, who went a little deep inside turn 4 as they come down the front straightaway and head into turn 1 and 2. Scott is starting to nose under just a little bit. That's usually a sign you've got to worry a little bit. Scott in car 18 out there on the track, right behind car number 5, the original pole sitter when we started the race tonight. Mark, Scott Bloomquist has been biding his time. It's about time for him to make the move we all expect, I think.
I think you're right, but not only does he have to worry about Ronnie Johnson ahead of him, but Kenny Merchant from Ruston, Louisiana, has been running a strong, steady race right behind Bloomquist and keeping the pressure on Scott all night long.
Scott Bloomquist staying very hard on Ronnie Johnson, but Ronnie's doing a great job of staying smooth in the corners. He's not getting rattled at all. The Chattanooga, Tennessee resident is staying real strong. We've got a car pulling off in turn 4. We can bring out the 4th caution flag, apparently slowing down the race to almost a crawl at this point. We'll take a little break here and return in a moment to St. Augustine Speedway for the Hav-A-Tampa Series in race number 2 for 1995 here on Sports South. We return to St. Augustine Speedway as we get back underway after our 4th caution lap here on Sports South. Here we go. Take a look now as Jack Boggs continues to move smoothly right down the front straightaway. And again, Freddie Smith from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, driving for the GVS racing team, pulls in right behind him and stays with him. But once again, in turn 2, Freddie comes back just a little bit and loses a little bit of ground. Jack Boggs actually is a lot closer than it may look on your screen. The length of our lens on the camera kind of makes it look a little more separated than it actually is, Mark.
It looks like 2 every time going into 3 that Freddie picks up a lot of space on him, and then coming out of 4, Boggs stands on it again, and it makes the difference.
And then Freddie has a little trouble coming out of 2. He doesn't seem to accelerate quite as fast there as he does out of 4. The rest of the field is staying. Whoops, Bill Fry just almost got away from it. Bob Pierce right on him in the 32 car. Ronnie Johnson still got a little bit of a loose left quarter panel underneath behind the tire there. Scott Bloomquist watching it with some trepidation, a little bit of caution. He wants to get inside, which is his favorite place to go, to get inside and around a race car. But at the same time, he's now a little bit concerned, perhaps, that some of the debris on Ronnie's car could get loose. I think they'll be playing tag.
I think they'll be watching that with guilt, not trepidation. I do believe Mr. Bloomquist is probably what caused that mangled fender and some of their bumping and grinding.
Scott Bloomquist, of course, is last year's 1994 Hav-A-Tampa race champion in the entire series. Got off to a great start by winning in New Brunswick, Georgia in the first race. And, of course, still has a very great race car right now. Barry Wright race car with a Cornet machine Ford engine in it. Looking real smooth and running great. Scott is playing a little more of a poker hand tonight, I think, Mark.
Yeah, he is. He had some trouble on 4 right there. I think he's, and Ronnie's picked up 7 or 8 car lengths on him. And almost opened the door for Kenny Merchant, who's been running a strong, steady 5th.
Well, as much as these 2 cars, B4 with Jack Boggs from Grayson, Kentucky, and Freddie Smith in 00, they're originally a King Mountain, North Carolina Navy. As much as these 2 are pulling away right now, then they're going to have another problem as they catch up with some of the back of the pack. The cars behind them, of course, Ronnie Johnson in 3rd, Scott Bloomquist in 4th, are going to have an opportunity when that happens as they catch the end of the pack to catch up with them some more, because, of course, obviously, it'll slow them down. The speed is just immense. I'm sure that we're looking at well over 120 miles an hour as they reach the end of each turn and head into the reach the end of the straightaway, my correction there. Jack is very, very smooth, still a little loose in 4. That's the spot on the racetrack, Mark, that they're all going to have a little problem with no matter what they do. They all keep trying to find a little bit different line there, but each one of them keeps having a little bit of a loose condition occur. You see the cars get a little out of shape there.
It's going to be real interesting if it comes down to a last lap shootout, what happens there in turn 4.
And you can bet some of these guys like Scott Bloomquist, Billy Moore, and the others, they know that, and that's going to be part of their strategy as they approach the front. They will look for a place where somebody will get a little carried away in turn 4, and then they're going to drive right through with everything they've got. Jack Boggs is driving with everything he's got. Freddie Smith in 00 continues to pound away behind him there and keep his tires, hopefully, for the last run on the last 10 to 20 laps. Again, staying in the race is as important as anything else. If you're not there and you can't finish, you don't get to finish with any money.
That's right. You can't finish strong if you've worn your tires out.
And while we're watching the race, a reminder that for the fastest news on dirt, call 1-900-DIRT-TRACKS, Hav-A-Tampa's only hotline, also covering all the other major dirt track racing events. Just a phone call away. Dial 1-900-378-7299. And by the Hav-A-Tampa Dirt Racing Series and Dixie Speedway, home of the Hav-A-Tampa Shootout, September 29th and 30th in Woodstock, Georgia. One of the cars that we were a little concerned about early on in the race, Mark, was car number 32. He's coming down the front straightaway just past us now. Stars Cars, owned by Mooney Star, driven by Bob Pierce out of Danville, Illinois. He's looking fairly smooth, running behind G2, David Gibson out of Ash Flat, Arkansas right now, and seems to be doing okay, although he doesn't have the power I normally see in that car. He's trying to stay ahead right now of Jeff Smith, 1994 Rookie of the Year.
Right, and Jeff has returned to the race after losing a lap or two because of a flat tire. He's still doesn't seem to have the whole package together right now. He's still struggling a little bit.
Plus, he's also several laps down
Yes.
since he had to go out for that tire. The first car to have a tire problem tonight. We continue with Jack Boggs in the lead, followed by Freddie Smith in second. Third is Ronnie Johnson. Fourth is Scott Bloomquist in car number 18. Car number 5, of course, Ronnie Johnson. Billy Moyer still way more or less back in the middle, still trying to find a way to move up. We just had a move over flag on the front straightaway. We'll have to check and see who that was.
That's C.S. Fitzgerald again, who's was out for a lap or two with some problems, the number 100 car, and he has definitely got the attention of the Hav-A-Tampa officials. And now I see they have brought in number 21.
We've got number 21, Billy Moyer, has just gone to the infield of the track. Get a camera on him, guys. That's one of the guys we thought was going to make a lot of moves to the front. Billy has just not found the ticket yet in the Hav-A-Tampa series. He finished second in the final shootout last year, and he came back last week, came up a little bit light on the weight after the qualifying run and was unable to run the first race this season, and now is back for the second one here at St. Augustine Speedway in Florida. By the way, our thanks to VJ Usina and Joy Usina Benson, Joy Benson, his sister. Now we've got some passing going on. Jack Boggs and Freddie Smith are flying down the front straightaway. Let's get on them and take a look at what's going on. Scott Bloomquist looking again inside Ronnie Johnson in the car 5 there, trying to find a way to get around him. The crowd you may hear in here with us is obviously watching the exciting part of the race too. Freddie Smith on the outside going past David Gibson in G2. Now he'll continue his assault on the back straightaway as he tries to catch up with B4 Jack Boggs. Now coming through turn 4 in front of us as should be some more passing going on here any second. Obviously some people are making some moves now. There goes Ronnie Johnson with Scott Bloomquist right in tow as they fly around David Gibson's G2 car. Kenny Merchant's now moving up on the G2 car on the back straightaway and coming after and going around David. Jeff Smith again up on the turn wall coming out of 3 into 4. Again, slowed down. Again, it looks like he's having a tire problem. And he is definitely having a tire problem. I can see it now as the camera caught him there on turn 4. That right rear fender apparently ate into his tire. It looks like it's down again. And this may effectively bring the Rookie of the Year for 94 out of the race, since this will be the second time he's had to stop for a tire problem. And it looks like this will be it. He was down several laps anyway and goes out of the race. This is the 5th caution of the race. We'll take a break here. Coming back to you in a moment from St. Augustine Motor Speedway, St. Augustine, Florida, on Sports South with the Hav-A-Tampa Race Series. Welcome back to our coverage on Sports South of the Hav-A-Tampa Race Series, brought to you by Landrum Spring Service, covering the spring industry like no one else. Out of turn 4, we have a green flag. It's lap 64 as they return to high speeds at St. Augustine Motor Speedway in St. Augustine, Florida. Freddie Smith continues to pull right in there and stick with our friend Jack Boggs in the B4 car. Stayed with him a little stronger that time, Mark, coming out of turn 2. Although Freddie had problems earlier, he looks like he's staying real strong now.
He is strong. We're back to the same story. 2 cars out in front, Freddie and Jack. And Ronnie Johnson, Scott Bloomquist chasing them.
I've seen Freddie Smith run second for a long time in several races in the past couple of years. And if he's there in the race car, there's 1J looking at us right now. Just wanted to quickly say that's Davey Johnson, who's here out of Pennsylvania. He is the Stars champion 2 seasons in a row now, going for his 3rd one this year, and he's just not having a lot of luck tonight. Jack Boggs in turn 4, followed by Freddie Smith. Here comes Ronnie Johnson, number 5, Scott Bloomquist, number 18, and following them, number 22, Stan Massey, who's moved all the way up now from row 5. So he's moved up quite a bit. He's now sitting in 6th after being in the 10th place when he started. Whoa, look at the racing on the inside of the racetrack. Also a serious contender for getting into the top 5 this year. Stan had a pretty good year last year, but his car, his team, and everybody seemed to walk a little taller and a little faster with more confidence this year. Scott Bloomquist still leading Kenny Merchant, but still not quite really pulling off the attack he's been planning all through the race so far, and we're well past the halfway point. and Scott still hasn't managed to get around Ronnie Johnson. Ronnie Johnson is going to continue to deny Scott Bloomquist, last year's champion, a chance to get around him as long as he can, apparently.
We had a brief reappearance a while ago by Jimmy Edwards from Hope Mills, North Carolina. Jimmy was caught up in the wreck on the very first lap, came back in 64 laps down, but has retired the car again. And also at the rear of the field, still battling the sophomore jinx, is last year's Rookie of the Year, Jeff Smith.
Jeff just keeps having more and more tire problems, and of course that's the biggest problem right now. The crowd that you hear behind us is really getting excited over Scott Bloomquist. He appears to be trying to put more and more pressure on Ronnie Johnson. You see him there in turn 4, chasing Ronnie down. Ronnie's got some damage on the left rear quarter panel. You can't see until they get on the back straightaway each time they go by. But Scott is really beginning to put the pressure on. This is where Scott Bloomquist is at his best in forcing other drivers to either give way or get around him. Scott got inside that time. It looked like he might just make the move. Scott's getting closer and closer to finally pushing inside and getting around. It's a lot like watching a shark attack a small piece of meat out there, Mark. you know he's going to take a bite any moment.
Well, you can see where he has taken that bite, and there's still a little bit of debris dangling from the back of Ronnie Johnson's car, obviously not affecting its performance.
Well, not too badly. I don't see him having a downforce problem, although his rear end does move around squirrely here and there. He's got the front end control, though. You can see when he comes out of the turn as he's coming down front straightaway on our turn 1 camera. He's got nice control. He's not slipping anywhere. That's why Scott just can't get around him. There's nothing wrong with Ronnie Johnson's control in the number 5 car. Here they come, turn 4 down the inside. Scott Bloomquist likes to pass in turn 4. That's one of his favorite places.
But unfortunately, that's also been one of the places he's most slippery tonight.
That's true. That takes away a little of his strength, because I've seen Scott pass a lot of people in turn 4, high and low.
In the meantime, we're just here at the Jack Boggs Invitational.
Yeah. The Grayson, Kentucky native is having a great night. Continues to lead the race, as he has literally since the first lap. He jumped to the front and hasn't looked back so far.
He has a 5.06 second lead over third place Ronnie Johnson, with Freddie Smith comfortably riding in second.
Ronnie's car still smooth on the back straightaway, hardly any movement at all. He stays smooth as glass all the way around the back straightaway, keeps his speed up right through into the turns, probably getting no lower than just under 100 miles an hour as he gets into those turns, somewhere around 90, 95 perhaps. Scott Bloomquist, though, still can't put him away. He's still trying to do it, but Ronnie Johnson's definitely got a fix on the groove right now, and Scott can't get outside of it. He's got to stay apparently in the same spot with Ronnie to let Ronnie lead, and of course not allow him enough speed to get around him. Got 80 laps behind us now as we continue to pour it on, heading for the finish of the Hav-A-Tampa Series race number 2 from St. Augustine, Florida Speedway. Got a lot of great folks here tonight. Doug Sofa with Hoosier Tire South is here. Hoosier kind of moved out of Winston Cup racing, where you've been the last couple years, Mark.
But I think Hoosier has found a place, and will continue to be in a place where they're very strong dirt track racing. Hoosier got a very bad rap last year in Winston Cup. Hoosier is obviously a quality tire, and this is a great way to show its strength out here.
Well, they're bringing a lot of marketing muscle to dirt, and there's no question that they're building, as they say, the tire designs for champions, and that's just about the tire every single person out here is racing on tonight. A lot of action going through the turns. Jeff Smith keeps sliding back a little bit, still having those tire problems. We're looking for our cover camera shot here. There's Jack Boggs coming again, heading back for turn 4. Heading past us with the completion of lap 84. We just went to lap 84 there. Jack Boggs and Freddie Smith are pulling up now, getting caught on the lap traffic. There is the other 21, as we say, in the, not Billy Moyer, but Ted Dolan of Toledo, Ohio, who's come all the way south to Florida to pull off this race. But apparently, with Jack Boggs and Freddie Smith right on his tail, he's not having the best of the evening he wanted right now. There's a move-over flag going out now and then, apparently, for the car 21 for Mr. Dolan, and he's going to have to get out of the way here. He is holding up the race, unfortunately. David Gibson's only slightly behind. Again, he's passed by Ronnie Johnson there out of just before they got to turn 3, and following him is Scott Bloomquist, zipping right past David Gibson also. David's car is just not handling, I know, as strong as he can make it.
Dolan just refuses to give in, though, and I think that Ronnie Johnson and Scott Bloomquist are enjoying the help. It's enabled them to carve into the lead a little bit.
It's definitely slowing the lead cars down, and he's had 2 move-over flags and yet refuses to do so. Now Freddie Smith jumps out to the outside of Boggs while he slowed down and lost his focus there for just a moment. Freddie's now starting to put the press on him as we go to lap 90. We're now heading, I believe, lap 89, beg your pardon. We're on lap 89, down to the last 11 laps of this feature, and it's looking more and more like Jack Boggs may have this one ready to put away, but Freddie Smith is ready to try to take it away from him and pushing harder every second.
Well, we'll find out in the next couple of laps how much abuse Jack Boggs' tires did take early, and see if Freddie Smith held anything back with his tires and he could catch him.
Well, Freddie's nursed those tires really well. Here comes the black flag. It's coming out now for number 21 to get out of the way and let the race leaders continue on. He'll have to step over any moment here.
I think it's contagious. I had some cars from Ohio on the way down here who always drove right in front of me in the left lane on I-95. It may just be something from the state.
Once again, they're telling him off and out of the way. Number 21, Ted Dolan, refusing to get out of the way. Not quite sure how the officials are going to handle this one. He's had 2 move-overs, 1 black flag, and now they're waving caution flags at him, too. They're pointing him off the racetrack, but he keeps staying on the track. And, of course, our leader, Jack Boggs, right behind him, is trying to find a way to get around him, but he can't get out of the groove. If he does, he'll quickly lose some ground, and Freddie Smith will be right inside of him. That may be just the move Freddie wants. It's going to be a tight close. I'm not quite sure how they're going to handle this one. The officials have a problem on their hands. Even as smooth as he looks, apparently he doesn't obviously have the power that Jack Boggs in V4 has, or Freddie Smith behind him. And Scott Bloomquist still hasn't been able to get around Ronnie Johnson back in the 5 car with Scott in number 18. We're not quite sure what's going on here, but Ted Dolan just refuses to get out of the way. They've given him all the signs. They want him out of there.
We should send Dolan a thank you note. He's really added to the drama of this. He's turned it into a 5-car race now once they can get past him.
5 laps to go as we wind down at the Hav-A-Tampa Race Series, race number 2 from St. Augustine Speedway in Florida. Number 21 is continuing to hold up this race, and now Kenny Merchant's making a move on the inside of Scott Bloomquist out in turn 3 and 4.
And
Kenny's
finally
getting competitive now. Watch this race, folks. Get our cameras, if we can, down there on that part of the racetrack, guys. Ronnie Johnson and Bloomquist, everybody have finally gone inside Ted Dolan. Now Jack Boggs leaps out to the front, continues to pull away a little bit. Freddie Smith coming out, looking pretty good in turn 4, even though it's been slippery for others tonight. Still holding in there in 2nd place as Jack Boggs winds his way towards the close of the race. Jack Boggs takes the white flag. This is the last trip around the track at St. Augustine Speedway as the last of 100 laps for the Hav-A-Tampa Race Series comes to a close. He's leading into 3, and it looks like this could be his race. Jack Boggs, Grayson, Kentucky. Freddie Smith trying to make a move inside, but we have a finish there with Jack Boggs just holding off Freddie Smith, who came in 2nd by a half a car length, and Jack Boggs takes the big one here, $10,000. At St. Augustine Speedway. We'll be back with more on our conclusion of the race here in just a moment as the Hav-A-Tampa Race Series concludes race number 2 from St. Augustine Speedway on Sports South. Jack Boggs of Grayson, Kentucky wins tonight's Hav-A-Tampa Series race number 2 at St. Augustine, Florida, and $10,000.
The conclusion of the race here at St. Augustine Speedway. Of course, our winner tonight is Mr. Jack Boggs from Grayson, Kentucky. Jack, congratulations. A fantastic run. No problems apparently on the racetrack.
Not really. You know, I thought a couple things, maybe a time or two, tire wear, so forth, but no, it was great, you know, but you got to be a little suspicious, you know, so it was good.
Earlier, people had said that tires could be the biggest problem getting around the racetrack tonight. Apparently, you nursed yours just perfectly. You never really slowed down, so it looked like you didn't really have a problem.
Well, I didn't really need to. The racetrack was in better condition than I thought. It was real good. We had plenty of tire left.
And apparently, you had the right setup. Again, congratulations to you, Jack. That was an outstanding effort out there tonight.
Jack Boggs becomes the second Hav-A-Tampa race winner for 1995 as he takes the win here at St. Augustine Speedway, followed in second by Freddie Smith. In third, Ronnie Johnson. In fourth, last season's 1994 champion for the Hav-A-Tampa Series, Scott Bloomquist. And fifth, Kenny Merchant. And as we continue our look at St. Augustine, Florida, the rest of the standings. In sixth, Stan Massey of Mableton, Georgia. In seventh, Mark Miner. Number 8, Steve Francis. Number 9, Dale McDowell. And number 10, Clint Smith. In 11th, it was Tupelo, Mississippi's Steve Russell. In 12th, Bill Fry from Greenbrier, Arkansas. Number 13, Bob Pierce in a Larry Shaw race car. Number 14th, David Gibson. Number 15th, Ted Dolan. 16th, Jeff Smith, Rookie of the Season for 1994. And 17th, it was Larry Moore. 18 was Billy Moyer Jr. 19th, C.S. Fitzgerald. And 20th was Johnny Johnson. 21st was Davy Johnson. 22nd, Jerry Inman. 23rd, Earl Pearson Jr. 24th was Hot Rod Lamance. 25th, David Showers. And 26th, Jimmy Edwards Jr. Mark McCarter is standing by with tonight's runner-up, Freddie Smith.
Okay, we're here with Freddie Smith, the runner-up tonight's race. Freddie, you chased Jack and just chased and chased and chased him all night long.
Yeah, we tried a little bit different tire combination than he did, and we was kind of scared we were going to burn him up. We run him too hard, so we'd back off and then go back up to him again and catch him in live traffic, and just never could get a good clean shot at it.
Again, our thanks to the Hav-A-Tampa Dirt Racing Series, Nick Masters, Dave Roberts, and all the gang at Dixie Speedway, home of the Hav-A-Tampa Shootout, September 29th, 30th in Woodstock. And to Vijay Usina, track owner here at St. Augustine, his sister Joy Benson, and all the staff. Promotional consideration to the Ponce de Leon Resort, Recreation and